Josh, welcome to Omer Grow. You're on day 47.
Oh, thank you so
First,
much for having
first, of course. Well, thank you and for being here. Um, uh, you know, a lot of your background is in leadership, in leadership, in development through in USY schools, and stuff like that. So that's kind of our topic that we are going to go to in today. Is kind of diving into that. First is a very broad question. How do you define in leadership?
it's a good, really good question. Um, well, I think there's two ways to define leadership. I think there's being a leader, and I think there's creating an environment for leadership to happen, right? And I think both of those start with creating a circle of safety for others, but also being willing to empower those in your charge and looking out for those in your charge. And so I think leadership, while it seems like it's the person at the top, I think it's more, and that they're sort of charging first. I think it's in many ways also being a protector, of being an empowerer, being somebody who's inspiring everyone else to reach further than even they have.
Um, Thank you for that. What is your background with in leadership and leadership and development stuff like that?
So I guess my background is really my focus, which is working with middle school and high school teens, so adolescents, both in the classroom and outside of it, both from a Jewish lens and also not from a Jewish lens, to really give them the skills and tools that they need to move beyond middle school or high school and apply those out in the real world. So.
Do you think there is a difference between uh, in leadership in general and Jewish leadership?
Well, I think most leadership has Jewish values in it. So I actually think they can be one and the same. It depends how you look at it. But I think you can pull a lot of Jewish values and also values from other religions and other cultures into leadership itself. I think leadership in many ways has to have some form of community with it, whether that's building a community or having a community that sort of follows you or works with you as the leader. And I think obviously community is super big in Judaism. So yeah, I think they're one and the same. I think Jewish values can really be a part of leadership and are.
Sure. Um, uh, do you have any like specific examples of people or organizations who really put a big emphasis on leadership and do it well?
So this is probably my favorite question in this whole interview. I think you learn the most about yourself and about leadership by looking at others and learning from those who came before you and are doing amazing things. In terms of people, you might have heard of Simon Sinek, right? The Golden Circle. He thinks all about the why before the what and the how, right? Let's get to the root of why we're doing things and not just what that we're doing. There's also a man named Drew Dudley, who created the lollipop moment, which is about like, why don't we say thank you? We have, we celebrate birthdays because we get to another year, but why don't we celebrate the people that have an impact on us every day? And so Drew and Simon, I think, sort of, for me, intertwine in this notion of like everyday leadership, and how do we make leadership not just something that's titled or something to achieve, but something that we can all just live every day and that all of us are able to access. In terms of organizations, this is my favorite question. I think I have this like weird hobby of finding cool people doing cool things. A couple that I like to highlight are this woman in Dallas, Texas. Her name's Paige Chenault. She was a party planner, event planner, and decided to take those skills and actually apply them in the non-for-profit world by creating an organization called the Birthday Party Project, where she throws birthday parties all across America and one day the world, for homeless kids in shelters, right? Like, how do they have a birthday party? How are they supposed to celebrate? She makes it possible for them. And they actually have opportunities to volunteer right here in the tri-state area. So it's something that even, if you admire that type of leadership, you can get involved in, right? And kind of a more quirky form of leadership that I really admire. There's a Dairy Queen location that's on the border of North Dakota and northern Minnesota that believes so much in hand making and following the traditional Dairy Queen approach, that they actually have a special contract with corporate Dairy Queen that allows them to continue hand making and self-producing certain products that aren't carried in other Dairy Queens across the country, that aren't even allowed to be carried across Dairy Queens across the country. And their slogan is "Different is delicious," right? That like sometimes like I think in life we're taught that like, oh, we have to, we have to be like everybody else, we have to do what everybody else is doing. And this man named Troy and his wife, who now own this Dairy Queen, have really pioneered this model that no, like different can really be awesome, and we're going to be proud to be different. And they're just own an ice cream shop right in the, for us, in the middle of nowhere, coming from the Northeast. So I think leadership can be found all around you, and it's not just big and flashy, but can be sweet and fun at the same time.
That is amazing. And and definitely action items for, and for me and our viewers to kind of use and to take with us. If I believe there's a misconception about leaders, that like leaders are often extroverts. They're often the ones who are not afraid to kind of stand up in front of a crowding group. And what would you say to the people who are kind of more shy and timid, to kind of help them to take that like next step into a leadership role?
Yeah, so I think those who see themselves as more shy or timid, um, they're the ones with the real leadership, because often that comes with significant humility. And so like I have students who aren't necessarily the ones who are going to be up in front of the room, but if we went to go see a Broadway show, like they might be swinging on the light poles, walking in Times Square singing their favorite show tune, or drawing this like amazing drawing in the back of the bus. I like to equate this to, I don't know if, Seth, have you ever heard of the Magic Castle Hotel in Los
I have,
Angeles?
yeah.
Yeah, so for our viewers, Omer Grove viewers who don't know, the Magic Castle Hotel is this like really basic motel that was converted into this really basic hotel in the heart of Los Angeles, where prices are, really expensive to stay in a hotel. And they're successful because they provide just the basics from the outside. You don't need the flashiest room, you don't need the nicest towel, but at the end of the day, they make up for that in other really special, unique ways that you wouldn't necessarily know unless you got to know them. And so some of those ways are they provide endless snacks. There's a popsicle hotline by the pool where you just pick up a phone and get a free popsicle brought to you by someone in a butler suit and white gloves. They have endless free movies. So all these things that, like, similar to them, they're not the hotel that's going to come up first on your list. They're not the kid that's going to be in the front of the room, right? But they offer something really special the more you get to know them, and they're proud of that, and they don't need to show the world that all the time so overtly, because those who know, and those who benefit, and that's what makes them special.
For sure. So our final question is, what advice would you give to someone to kind of I'm reading my notes just to get the wording that I wrote down. For advice for those who want to be leaders, but might need a like extra push, what's something that either and you've said to people who you saw leadership and potential, and to kind of help them along in their journey, something like that.
Well, I think maybe evident from my earlier remarks is like, I think I gained a lot of my own leadership skills and inspiration from seeing myself within others. Right. And so saying like somebody might not be pointing it out in me, and that's fine. But how can I look to others that I admire, or find things that I like to get involved in, and pull values out of that that actually resonate with me? Like I can relate to, like I can do that, or that really speaks to me. Like how can I take that to the next level? And so I'll give one more example. So I love the DoubleTree cookies. And I know we Omer growed together a few days ago. For those viewers who are watching, Seth made some delicious cookies. But like that concept, as for Hilton, is just to provide a warm cookie welcome, so that it's not the flashiest hotel in their fleet, but you show up and like they give you a cookie and you just feel different, right? And so I love cookies. And so the first time that happened to me, I was like, wow, this is really great. I get a free cookie. And then the more I looked into it, it actually really made me feel a certain way, and I was treated a certain way. And it wasn't all about this excess and fluff and pomp and pageantry. And I was like, that's the type of leader that I want to be. I love that. humility, with surprises, and with cookies and deliciousness, and a warm community that's going to surround you. And so I think we can really gain inspiration to be leaders and find the leaders that we are inside. We might not realize it if we can look to those or other organizations or places that make us feel a certain way that we can resonate with. And I think we all have something that we like. So you just got to extract the leadership qualities from it, and always eat a cookie.
Couldn't agree more. Josh, thank you so much for taking on the time today. I really appreciate it. Really, thank you.
Anytime. Let's all keep hashtag Omer growing together. Big fan of the series. Love it.
Yes. And keep a lookout for more videos coming up. We're on our final week, so we're almost there. So see everyone soon.